Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, have any members of the Technical Reference Group been involved in cases involving foreign takeovers of New Zealand dairy companies while assisting in the review of the overseas investment regulatory regime? If so, what are the names of the relevant lawyer and law firm?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, no members of the Technical Reference Group have been involved in takeovers of dairy companies. One company in the dairy industry did seek to raise capital from the New Zealand public, which required Overseas Investment Office approval and involved a member of the Technical Reference Group. That company was Synlait, and the decision sheet is available on the Overseas Investment Office's website. Synlait ultimately decided not to proceed with raising capital from the New Zealand public.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he have any concern that lawyers, such as Andrew Monteith referred to in the case the Minister referred to, who are advising the government on rewriting the Overseas Investment Act, have also been involved in assisting overseas firms in raising money in order to buy up New Zealand's dairy assets?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, no, I have no concerns at all. When the government goes to get expert advice, it tends to go to the people who do the transactions. Otherwise, they don't know what they're talking about. And in this case, I've met personally myself with those lawyers and had discussion about how we can get Overseas Investment Office decisions more quickly at lower cost. They've given some useful suggestions and some suggestions that would not be acceptable to the government.
The Honourable David Parker.
Is the Minister aware that the free trade agreement with China does not stop the New Zealand government declining applications to buy New Zealand farmland under overseas investment rules?
The Honourable Bill English.
Good.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Mr. Speaker, when he spoke with the Technical Advisory Group lawyers from Chapman Tripp, Russell McVeigh, Simpson, Grierson, Bell Gully and Minter Ellison Rudd Watts on 18th of February this year, did he express any concerns about large foreign firms being able to buy up huge swathes of the New Zealand primary production sector, and if not, why not?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we went there we had a discussion about how the Overseas Investment Act works, what the technicalities are of the processes and how those processes could be improved, both from the benefit of New Zealand vendors and overseas investors. And it's up to the government to decide whether to take advice or not. The fact is that under the Overseas Investment Act, hundreds of millions of dollars of overseas investment have come into New Zealand, in fact billions of dollars, because New Zealanders do not save enough themselves. We are more reliant than many countries on overseas investment to provide jobs and incomes for New Zealand families.
Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. How are any conflicts of interest being managed, given that the legal firms the Technical Advisory Group lawyers work for, Chapman Tripp, Russell McVeigh, Simpson, Grierson, Bell Gully and Minter Ellison Rudd Watts, these law firms have been involved in over 70 cases involving the Overseas Investment Office since they were appointed?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's no conflict of interest involved, despite the members' attempts to try to portray discussions with experts in a field as a conspiracy. When the government wants expert advice on the provision of health services, it goes and talks to the people who provide the health services. If it wants expert advice on the provision of education, it goes and talks to people who do education. When we want expert advice on the law, we go and talk to people who know something about the law.
That brings... Point of order, Dr. Russel Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
A point of order has been called.
I seek leave to table two documents. One is a statement by Minter Ellison Rudd Watts on the appointment of Andrew Monteith onto the review group.
Leave is sought for that document to be tabled. Is there any objection? There is no objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the second is the decision summary in the case of Synlait and various unknown overseas persons seeking approval from the Overseas Investment Office.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. And that brings to a conclusion questions for oral answer, and I call on government